My name is Amy Carter, and until a few nights ago, I thought I knew what stability felt like. At 28, I had what most would call a steady, simple life. A small apartment in the city, a job in marketing that kept me sane, and a boyfriend I trusted. His name was Adam. For almost 3 years, Adam had been my home. He was charming in that effortless way that made strangers like him instantly. Warm smile, easy jokes, the kind of man who'd pull your chair out in a restaurant just because that's what gentlemen do. And for the longest time, I believed him. We met at a friend's birthday dinner, and I remember how his laugh cut through the noise like sunlight. Within months, we were inseparable. Morning coffees, weekend trips, the shared toothbrush holder, all the small things that build a quiet kind of love. 8 months ago, he moved in. It felt right at the time. We split bills, though I covered most of the groceries and utilities since he was saving up for a promotion. I didn't mind. That's what partners do, right? Support each other until the balance evens out. But lately, something had changed. Adam had started coming home later, his excuses flimsy. Working on a late pitch, just grabbing a drink with the team. He'd walk in smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't mine. I tried not to overthink it. Tried to be the understanding girlfriend everyone tells you to be. Until that Thursday night, I was standing in the kitchen cutting vegetables for dinner. The apartment was quiet except for the low hum of the fridge. I remember glancing at the clock, 8:52 p.m. He was already an hour late. Again. Then my phone buzzed. A single text. "Don't wait up sleeping at Tessa's tonight." I froze. My first reaction was confusion. Tessa? His coworker? The one who always lingered too close during after-work drinks. The one who once called him my favorite teammate on Instagram. I stared at the screen, rereading the message as if I'd somehow misunderstood it. No emojis, no explanation. Just a statement. Cold. Casual. For a few seconds, everything in me went quiet. The knife in my hand, the vegetables on the counter, the soft light of the kitchen, all suddenly felt unreal, like a scene from someone else's life. Then I typed back. Slowly. Deliberately. "Thanks for informing me." No punctuation, no emotion, just words. And in that small act, something inside me shifted. The Amy who used to cry over small arguments, who second-guessed herself for other people's comfort, she went silent. In her place stood someone else. Someone steady. Cold. Certain. I turned off the stove. The vegetables burned slightly at the edges, smoke curling up from the pan. The smell was bitter, sharp, fitting. I wiped my hands, walked to the bedroom, and opened the closet. His clothes stared back at me. Crisp shirts, hoodies, the gray sweater I once borrowed on cold nights. It was strange how ordinary betrayal looked in fabric form. I grabbed an empty moving box from under the bed. One by one, I started folding. Carefully, methodically. The first shirt, then another, then another. My movements were calm, mechanical, almost peaceful. Every crease I smoothed out felt like reclaiming a small piece of myself he'd taken. As I packed, flashes of memories played in my mind like a cruel slideshow. His laughter during our first road trip, the way he said, "I love you," half asleep. His promise that we were building something real. Each memory stung like salt, but I kept folding. By 10:15, the closet was bare. By 10:30, the dresser emptied. By 11, the last box was taped shut. 8 boxes total. His entire wardrobe, his shoes, his colognes, his favorite mug that said, "Best boyfriend ever." I stacked them neatly by the door. Then a thought came to me. A quiet, electric one. He said he was sleeping at Tessa's, so that's where his belongings should be. By 11:20, I was carrying the first box to my car. Trip after trip, I loaded everything. The cold night air stinging my skin. The city lights blurring past as I drove across town. Tessa lived only 15 minutes away. I remembered the address from a holiday card Adam once accidentally left open on the counter. Modern apartment complex. Cream-colored brick. tiny balconies lined with plants. As fate would have it, someone was leaving just as I pulled up. I slipped in through the open door, my arms full of boxes. The elevator hummed quietly. 3rd floor, apartment 304. Laughter echoed faintly behind the door, a woman's voice, light and familiar. I stacked the boxes neatly outside her door. 8 in total, one on top of the other, perfectly balanced. And on the very top, I placed a small note. His belongings. He's yours now, Amy. I stepped back, looked at the tower of boxes, a monument to every lie I'd believed. Then I took a photo. Not for revenge, for proof. Proof that I'd finally acted instead of waiting. As I walked back to my car, I expected my heart to race. It didn't. It slowed, calmer with each step. By midnight, I was home again. The bed was half empty, the air quiet. I changed the locks that night. $160, same-day service, worth every cent. At 12:47 a.m., my phone lit up. Where are my things? Another message, then another. By 1 a.m., he was calling. By 4 o'clock, the panic started. I let it ring. Because the moment I read that first text, sleeping at Tessa's tonight, I stopped being the woman waiting for him and started becoming the woman he'd regret losing. When my phone finally stopped buzzing at 4:27 a.m., the silence that followed felt heavier than the noise. I sat on the couch in the half-dark, wrapped in my old blanket, watching the screen light up and fade again. 27 missed calls, 42 unread messages, all from Adam. The last one just said, "Amy, what did you do?" For a while, I didn't reply. I just stared at that message, the small blue bubbles on the screen, thinking how strange it was that someone who used to whisper, "I love you," could sound so small. By sunrise, exhaustion settled in like fog. I took a shower, brewed a strong coffee, and opened the curtains. Outside, the city was waking up, commuters rushing, dogs being walked, sunlight catching on windows. The world kept turning, completely unaware that mine had ended 12 hours earlier. At 7:30 a.m., my phone rang again. I almost ignored it until I saw the name. Diana, Adam's mom. For a second, I hesitated. Diana had always liked me, or so I thought. She'd once told me, "You're the best thing that ever happened to my son." But as soon as I answered, her tone cut like glass. "Amy, what on earth did you do?" She snapped. "Good morning to you too," I said quietly, sipping my coffee. "Don't get smart." Adam showed up here at 3 a.m. without any of his things. He said you threw him out. "I didn't throw him out, Diana," I said evenly. "He texted me that he was staying at Tessa's. So I helped him move." There was a sharp inhale on her end. "That's not funny. I wasn't joking. You can't just put someone's belongings outside like that. He's your boyfriend." "Correction," I said. "Was." The line went silent for a moment, just the faint hum of static. Then her voice softened. "Amy, honey, he made a mistake. You two have been together for years. Don't destroy something real over a misunderstanding." A misunderstanding. That word echoed in my chest like a cruel joke. I closed my eyes, remembering the exact phrasing of his text. "Don't wait up, sleeping at Tessa's tonight." There was no misunderstanding in that sentence. "Diana," I said, my voice calm but final. "Your son made a choice. I'm just respecting it." She started to say something else, but I hung up. I didn't owe her an explanation. When I got to work later that morning, the exhaustion was still clinging to me like smoke. My coworker, Mia, noticed immediately. "Rough night?" she asked, handing me a coffee refill. I forced a smile. "You could say that." But the truth was written all over my face. She didn't push, and for that I was grateful. Around noon, a message popped up on my phone again. This time from an unknown number. "You're unbelievable. You humiliated me. I didn't have to ask who it was. Adam." "Actions have consequences," I replied. Seconds later, You're overreacting. Nothing happened with Tessa. We were just hanging out with friends. I crashed there because it was late. I laughed out loud, earning a strange look from Mia across the table. I typed back, "Then why didn't you mention that in your message? Or pick up when I called?" He didn't reply for 10 minutes. Then, "You're paranoid, Amy. You always blow things out of proportion." That line, "You're paranoid," was one I'd heard before. The first time he came home at 2 a.m. smelling like perfume. The second time he called me insecure for asking why his coworker texted him heart emojis. Every red flag I had ignored came rushing back like a wave. My hands trembled, not from sadness, but from clarity. Gaslighting. That's what this was. And I wasn't going to fall for it again. At 3 p.m., Mia came over. "Amy, your name's trending in our office group chat," she whispered. My stomach dropped. She turned her phone around, showing me a post from Tessa's Instagram story, a photo of 2 wine glasses and a man's jacket on a couch. The caption read, "Unexpected sleepover." The jacket. My jacket. The one I'd bought Adam for Christmas last year. My chest tightened, but I didn't cry. Instead, something inside me hardened into resolve. That evening, when I got home, I blocked his number. I blocked Tessa's too. I made pasta, poured myself a glass of wine, and put on music. Peaceful music. By 10 p.m., the doorbell rang. Once, then again. Harder this time. Through the peephole, I saw him. Adam. Disheveled, red-eyed, still wearing the same jacket. He looked furious. "Amy, open the door," he shouted. "This is insane. You're making me look crazy." I stood silently on the other side. He banged again. "At least talk to me." I waited. Let him knock, yell, plead. Then finally I said through the door, "You already talked, Adam. Remember? Sleeping at Tessa's tonight. That was your speech." There was a pause. Then a bitter laugh. "You think you're so smart? You'll regret this." His footsteps retreated down the hall, echoing against the empty walls. I didn't move until I heard the main door downstairs slam shut. When I finally sat down on the couch again, I realized something. The silence no longer felt heavy. It felt earned. Still, deep down, I knew Adam wouldn't just disappear quietly. Men like him never did. And somehow I could already feel the next storm coming. 2 days passed in silence. For 48 hours, I didn't hear from Adam, didn't see his name flash across my screen, didn't smell his cologne clinging to the hallway. For the first time in months, my apartment felt like mine again. I watered the plants, changed the sheets, and even started sleeping through the night without jolting awake to check my phone. But peace has a short shelf life when someone like Adam is involved. It started on a Tuesday morning. I was halfway through my first meeting of the day when Mia messaged me. "Amy, are you okay? Have you seen Facebook?" My stomach dropped. I hadn't checked Facebook in weeks. I opened the app, and there it was, a long post written by Adam, complete with a photo of us from last year. Breakups are hard, especially when your partner turns on you for no reason. I tried to be patient, but Amy's anger issues and paranoia got out of control. She threw me out, changed the locks, and lied about things that never happened. I hope she gets help someday. There were already over 100 likes and dozens of comments, some from mutual friends, some from people I barely knew. "That's awful, Adam." She always seemed a little intense. "You deserve better, bro." My chest went tight. I wasn't shaking, not yet, but something deep in me ached. I hadn't just lost a relationship. I was being rewritten in real time into the villain of his story. At lunch, Mia sat next to me in the break room. "Are you okay?" "Not really," I admitted. I figured. I saw Tessa commenting on the post. She wrote something like, "Some people just can't handle real love." That stung more than I expected. I'd told myself I didn't care what they thought of me, but seeing my name dragged through digital mud was another wound entirely. That evening, I called my best friend Olivia. She'd known me since college, long before Adam. She didn't even say hello. What did that idiot do now? I told her everything, the post, the comments, the feeling of being publicly dissected. She sighed. Classic manipulation. He's trying to control the narrative before you can. Her words hit hard because they were true. Adam had always been careful about appearances, charming in public, dismissive in private. This wasn't random. It was strategy. Do I respond? I asked. No, she said firmly. You don't feed that kind of fire. The truth will come out. I wanted to believe her, but by Wednesday, things escalated. My manager, Hannah, called me into her office. Amy, sorry to bring this up, but someone sent an email to HR. My heart stuttered. About what? She turned the screen toward me. It was an anonymous complaint, claiming I'd been emotionally unstable at work since the breakup, and that I'd once threatened to damage company property. It was absurd, completely untrue, but it was detailed enough to make HR take it seriously. Hannah leaned back in her chair. I know this isn't like you, but I have to ask. Is someone trying to hurt your reputation? Yes, I said, voice low. My ex. She nodded slowly. We'll handle this carefully. Document everything. By the time I left the office that day, I felt hollow. Adam wasn't content just to hurt me emotionally. He wanted to dismantle me piece by piece. That night, I decided I wasn't going to play defense anymore. I dug through old messages, screenshots of his late-night texts, his apologies for messing up again, even one from 6 months ago where he'd admitted flirting with Tessa. Just for fun. I saved them all into a folder. Not for revenge, but for protection. Then I opened Facebook. His post was still up. Hundreds of comments now. I didn't write a response. Instead, I posted one photo, the screenshot of his text from that night. Don't wait up. Sleeping at Tessa's tonight. No caption. No explanation. Just truth. Within minutes, the reactions started rolling in. Shocked emojis. Private messages from people who had believed him until now. Even one from his coworker, Mark. Did he really send that to you? I thought he and Tessa were just friends. Guess you know now, I replied. By midnight, Adam's post was gone. Deleted. I should have felt triumphant, but mostly I felt tired. Tired of playing chess with someone who never fought fair. The next morning, he called from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Amy? He started, his voice low, almost pleading. You didn't have to humiliate me. You did that yourself, I said quietly. He exhaled sharply. You think you won, huh? You think people are on your side now? They'll see who you really are. Adam, I said, they already have. There was silence, then a faint tremor in his voice. You'll regret this. The line went dead. I sat there, staring at my reflection in the dark phone screen. For the first time, I wasn't afraid of him, just aware. Aware of how far he'd go to protect his image. And as I turned off my phone for the night, one thought lodged itself deep in my chest. People like Adam don't stop when they lose control. They double down. And I knew, with chilling certainty, that this wasn't over. I thought deleting his post would end things. That maybe, finally, Adam would accept the breakup, lick his wounds, and move on. But men like Adam don't move on. They regroup. They plot. 3 days later, I woke to a message from my bank. Suspicious activity detected. Please confirm this purchase attempt someone had tried using my credit card at a gas station an hour away. Twice. Both declined. My heart thudded in my chest. I'd canceled the shared emergency card weeks ago, but Adam had a habit of remembering numbers he wasn't supposed to. I called the bank immediately. Yes, I told the rep. That card should be blocked. The woman on the other end confirmed, but her voice carried that tone, the kind reserved for victims of someone else's carelessness. Do you know who might have tried to use it? I have a pretty good guess, I said quietly. After hanging up, I sat at my kitchen table, phone in hand, pulse still racing. This wasn't just spite anymore. It was an attempt to take back control, to remind me he still could. By noon, my phone buzzed again, this time from an unknown number. Nice try blocking me. You can't erase what we had, Amy. I deleted it without replying. But the next one came seconds later. You ruined my life. I lost my job because of your drama. You did that yourself. I typed back, then stopped myself before hitting send. I deleted the draft. No response was the loudest response. That evening, Mia came over with takeout. She'd become my lifeline through this mess. We sat on the couch, cartons of noodles between us, my phone face down on the table. How are you holding up? She asked. Honestly? I'm just tired. Every time I think it's over, he finds a new way to crawl back into my life. That's what control freaks do, she said. They can't stand not being in charge of the narrative. Her words echoed something my dad used to say when I was younger. People who lose power always try to take something with them. Later that night, after Mia left, I checked my email before bed. A new message sat at the top of my inbox, sent just 10 minutes earlier. No subject line. When I opened it, I froze. It was a photo, my apartment building, taken from outside, tonight. A chill ran through me so sharp it made my breath catch. The next line in the email read, "Miss me yet?" No signature, but I didn't need one. My hands trembled as I forwarded the email to myself for backup, then called my brother, Nathan. He lived 20 minutes away. Stay calm, he said. I'm coming over. By the time he arrived, my heart had slowed to a steady, frightened rhythm. We checked the hallway, the parking lot, the shadows near the streetlights. Nothing. Adam was gone, if he'd even been there at all. But the image in my inbox was proof enough that the boundaries were gone too. Nathan looked at me, jaw tight. You need to go to the police. I don't have proof it was him, I said. You don't need proof to start a record. File a report, Amy. Now, the next morning, I did exactly that. Sitting in a small beige room at the precinct, I told Officer Ruiz everything, the messages, the photo, the credit card attempt. She took notes, her face unreadable but kind. This is harassment, she said finally. We can't arrest him yet, but we can file a report and issue a warning if he contacts you again. I nodded. Please do. Walking home, I felt both lighter and exposed, like putting everything on record meant acknowledging the full extent of what he'd become. That night, I finally blocked his email, changed every password, and enabled two-step authentication on everything I owned. It felt paranoid, but paranoia is just another word for preparation after betrayal. At 11:45 p.m., my phone vibrated one last time, this time a call from an unknown number. My stomach dropped. Against my better judgment, I answered. Amy. His voice cracked through the receiver, raw and low. You've turned everyone against me. You did that yourself? I said, my tone steady. He exhaled hard like he was trying not to cry. You don't understand. I loved you. Everything I did was for us, following me, using my card. That's love. I wanted to talk. You lost that right when you started stalking me, Adam. There was silence. Then a faint laugh, bitter and broken. You think you're safe because of a police report? You're not. The line went dead. I sat in the dark, the sound of my own breathing filling the room. Every instinct screamed fear, but beneath it, something else stirred. Defiance. I'd spent years letting him control the tone of our relationship. Now, he was losing his grip, and I could see how much it scared him. I didn't call him back. I didn't text. Instead, I called Nathan again, explained what happened, and he insisted on staying the night. When he arrived, he dropped his duffel by the door and said, He's testing you, Amy. Waiting to see if you'll flinch? Well, I said, locking the door behind him. He's about to find out I don't. As I lay in bed, listening to the faint city hum outside, I realized something profound. Fear only holds power when you let it. And that night, for the first time since everything began, I didn't flinch. For a few days after filing the police report, things went eerily quiet. No calls, no emails, no late-night knocks. I started to believe maybe Adam had finally realized he couldn't reach me anymore. I even began to breathe normally again, going to work without checking over my shoulder, sleeping without the phone clutched in my hand. But peace with someone like Adam is never peace. It's the silence before another hit. It started small. On Wednesday morning, I walked out to my car and noticed a long scratch running from the back door to the front fender. Not deep enough to be an accident, but deliberate. Careful. My stomach twisted, but I took a photo and added it to the growing file I kept labeled evidence. By Friday, strange rumors began circulating at work. Hannah, my manager, pulled me aside after lunch. "Amy, I don't want to alarm you, but someone's been calling the office asking questions about you. Personal ones." "Who?" I asked. They didn't say. The receptionist thought it sounded like a man. He asked if you'd been fired yet. The blood drained from my face. I didn't need to ask who it was. Adam wasn't just angry anymore. He was trying to dismantle my stability piece by piece. That evening, I met my brother Nathan and his wife at a small diner. They'd been checking in regularly since the police report. I told them everything about the scratched car, the calls, the quiet dread that hung over every normal moment. Nathan leaned forward, jaw clenched. "You need a restraining order, Amy." "I already talked to the police. They said they'd monitor the situation." He shook his head. "Then you make them. You go back there with every photo, every message, every call record. You push until they take you seriously, I promised I would." But deep down, I knew Adam's game was about more than revenge. It was about control. He wanted me scared enough to react, desperate enough to reach out. And that's exactly what I refused to give him. That night, I stayed at Nathan's house. His wife, Sarah, made up the guest room and left a nightlight on in the hallway like I was a child again. It was strange how comforting that small glow felt. But sometime around 2 a.m., I woke to my phone vibrating on the nightstand. An unknown number again. I let it ring twice before swiping to answer. "Amy," a voice whispered, low and trembling. "It's me." I didn't respond. The silence stretched between us like a wire pulled too tight. "I messed up," Adam continued. "I've been drinking. I just wanted to talk to you, to explain." "There's nothing to explain," I said quietly. "I lost my job. My friends won't talk to me. You turned everyone against me." "No, Adam, you did that yourself." He sighed shakily. "You always make me the villain. You don't understand what it's like watching everything fall apart." "I do," I said, voice steady. "Because I lived through it while you lied to me." He went quiet for a few seconds, then said, almost childlike, "Can I come over? Just to talk?" "No. Please, Amy. I don't have anywhere else to go." "You have plenty of places to go," I said, thinking of Tessa. "Just not here." The tone in his voice shifted then, from pleading to something darker. "You'll regret this." "Good night, Adam," I said, and hung up. The next morning, I drove straight to the police station with my phone in hand. Officer Ruiz recognized me immediately. "New contact?" she asked. I nodded, showing her the call log and the screenshot of his threats. She took notes again, expression tightening. "This is enough for a restraining order. We'll expedite it." Filing the paperwork took hours, but when I walked out of that building, holding the temporary order in my hand, I felt a shift inside me, like I'd drawn an invisible line he could no longer cross. That weekend, I changed my locks again, bought security cameras for the front door, and told my landlord everything. He was sympathetic and even offered to install extra lighting in the parking lot. For the first time, I wasn't reacting out of fear. I was preparing. On Sunday night, I was brushing my teeth when my phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Tessa. "You've really ruined his life." I hope you're proud of yourself. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. He ruined his own life, Tessa. And if you're smart, you'll stay out of this before he ruins yours too. No response came, but that same night, I noticed a shadow move across the camera feed outside my door. Just a flicker, then gone. Nathan came over immediately when I told him. He checked the footage frame by frame until he found it. A tall figure in a hoodie, pausing at my door, then turning away. The face wasn't visible, but the posture was unmistakable. Adam. Nathan exhaled sharply. He's breaking the order already. Then we call the police, I said. I didn't even hesitate this time. As we waited for the patrol car to arrive, I realized how much I'd changed. The old me, the one who apologized too easily and hoped love would fix everything, would have still been trying to reason with him. But this Amy? She understood that some people only stop when consequences start. And as the red and blue lights flashed outside my window, I whispered to myself, let this be the last time he crosses that line. The night the patrol car arrived, everything moved in slow motion. The flashing lights painted my apartment walls red and blue, turning my calm little home into a scene from someone else's life. 2 officers came up to my door. One of them, Officer Ruiz, recognized me immediately. Miss Carter, she said gently, we saw the footage. You did the right thing calling us. Nathan stood behind me, arms crossed, his expression set somewhere between anger and exhaustion. He was here less than a week after the restraining order, he said. What happens now? Ruiz sighed. We'll issue a warrant for questioning. If we catch him near the property again, he'll be arrested. For now, stay somewhere safe. But I was done running. I looked her straight in the eye. I'm not leaving my home again because of him. She nodded, understanding. Then keep your cameras rolling, and if he so much as breathes near this building, call us. The officers left around midnight. Nathan insisted on staying one more night, sleeping on the couch while I tried to rest. But I didn't sleep. I sat up, scrolling through the footage again and again, memorizing the frame where he stood, motionless, just staring at my door. By morning, I felt hollow. Not afraid anymore, just tired. Tired of being the prey in a story he thought he still controlled. When Nathan left for work, he hugged me and said, He's losing power, Amy. That's why he's desperate. I wanted to believe that. That afternoon, I worked from home, laptop open by the window, the camera feed minimized in the corner of my screen. The sun dipped slowly, and for the first time in weeks, I almost felt normal. I even made dinner, simple pasta and wine, and sat on the couch, letting a movie play in the background. Then, at 9:37 p.m., my phone buzzed. A single message. Unknown number. You really think a piece of paper can stop me? My heart stilled. I took a deep breath, screenshot the text, and forwarded it directly to Officer Ruiz with a short message. He's contacting me again. Same number as before. She replied almost instantly. Stay inside. Patrol is on the way. I put the phone down and looked around the apartment. The quiet hum of the fridge, the soft flicker of the TV. It all felt fragile, temporary, like the calm before a storm that already knew my address. And then came the sound I'd been dreading. Footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Heavy. Then the doorknob rattled. Every muscle in my body locked. The sound came again, harder this time, followed by his voice. Amy, I just want to talk. The voice I used to fall asleep to. The voice that once said I love you like it meant something. Now it sounded hollow, almost unhinged. I didn't move. I didn't speak. Amy, he said again, his tone sharper now. Open the door before this gets worse. Through the peephole, I saw him, hoodie pulled up, eyes darting, one hand gripping something metallic. My throat closed. Then, faintly, the distant wail of sirens. He froze. A shout echoed down the hall. Police! Step back from the door. Adam turned, panic flickering across his face. He tried to bolt toward the stairwell, but 2 officers rounded the corner. The scene unfolded in flashes, commands shouted, hands raised, the thud of footsteps, then the click of cuffs. I exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. When Officer Ruiz knocked on my door a few minutes later, I opened it, shaking but steady. "He's in custody," she said. "We'll process him tonight." "You're safe now." Those words, "you're safe now," felt surreal. I nodded, thanked her, and sat on the couch once more. The movie was still playing, characters laughing like nothing in the world had changed. But for me, everything had. The next morning, I went to the station to give my final statement. Ruiz told me Adam had multiple pending charges now: harassment, attempted trespassing, violation of a restraining order. "He'll be facing real consequences this time," she said. When I left the building, sunlight hit my face, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel like I had to glance over my shoulder. The days that followed felt quieter, peaceful in a way I'd forgotten peace could feel. I started therapy, picked up running again, and let my world slowly rebuild itself around small joys: morning coffee, long walks, phone calls with Mia that ended in laughter instead of worry. A week later, I received a message from an unknown number again. My chest tensed until I saw the sender's name: Tessa. I heard what happened. "I'm sorry. You were right about him." I stared at the message for a long time before replying. "We were both fooled. Just be careful." Her response came quickly. "He's out of my life too." I promise I didn't reply. Some things don't need answers. That evening, as I watered my plants, I thought of everything that had happened: the fear, the anger, the exhaustion. And yet, beneath it all, there was something else. Strength. Adam had tried to break me in every way he knew: emotionally, socially, financially. But all he'd done was reveal how resilient I really was. Before I went to bed, I deleted his last text, emptied the evidence folder from my phone, and whispered to myself, "It's over." And this time, I believed it. The next morning, sunlight streamed through my window, soft and gold. My life was quiet again, beautifully, defiantly quiet. And if there's one thing I learned from it all, it's this: when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Because second chances aren't kindness, they're invitations to repeat the same pain.